Good afternoon. I hope you had a great holiday season. My name's Caitlin, Customer Success Manager here at SONAR, and welcome back to WithSONAR. This webinar is designed to help explore tools and use cases to enhance your overall SONAR experience. Last episode, we went over our custom dashboards to show you how to customize SONAR insights to better fit your network. And this week, I'm going to highlight our new SONAR Truckload Datasets, which is an enhancement to the same tender data you know and love. Bear with me while I share my screen. Perfect. So these datasets are going to be available within your custom pages, so you can utilize these under the chart function or in your custom dashboards. I wouldn't be surprised if these replace some of the volume and rejection insights you're seeing within our dashboards. So executive insights, the truckload national insights. So great to make yourself familiar with. But these new data sets allowed us to double our original tender data sets and significantly grow our reefer and short haul data. So essentially, we're really just enhancing the same tender data you know and love while keeping that legacy data available as well. So the data is going to be available in 4 categories. We have volumes, rejections, market share, and tender lead time. I'm going to start off with volume, and I have it displayed here on seasonality mode. So as I said, this new index is more than doubling the size of our legacy outbound tender volume, and it's going to give us far greater intelligence, especially across CPG shippers and reefer and cold chain intelligence. You're still going to look at this. It's measured the same way. So we have an index from April 2019, and you're really just looking at the directional movements and trends of the line, not so much the number itself. So not changing how you're reading the data set at all. I have it displayed on a national level on seasonality, so looking at the year-over-year view, but you can break this down to van, reefer, specific length of hauls, as well as specific markets to get more granular with the markets and trailer type that you're looking for. Now, if we compare this to our legacy tender data, which I have here, we're not really learning anything new. So I have SONAR truckload volume displayed in blue, and then our legacy outbound tender volume displayed in pink. So as I mentioned, we're really just enhancing what we have. We're able to grow the sample size that we're measuring. However, the directional movements and trends that you're seeing here are the exact same. So all signs are still pointing to the same direction. This is just an enhanced data set. So especially if you're working with more CPG shippers or if you're heavy on the reefer side, definitely recommend using the new SONAR truckload data sets. So nothing's changing, same story, just a little bit of an enhanced version there. I will say if you are looking at the new SONAR truckload volume in blue and then legacy in pink, the SONAR truckload is going to be a little less volatile than our legacy tender volume. Legacy tender volume is going to have a higher concentration in retail, housing, auto, and manufacturing, which are going to be more volatile industries compared to like consumer goods where, you know, we have to have the food to stay alive. So it's a little less volatile than our legacy data set. Then we have the SONAR truckload rejections. So similar to volume, we are not changing how this data set is measured. It's still measuring the percentage of freight being rejected and the carrier sentiment to the overall market. So when we're looking at those tender rejections or SONAR truckload rejections, it is still measuring the percentage of freight being rejected. Again, just an enhancement of that data set. Here, I'm viewing it on a national level with that year-over-year change again, but you can break it down to van, reefer. We also have flatbed available with rejections. And then within van and reefer, you can also look at length of haul or drill down to your specific markets to see how you can measure capacity on a really granular level. We're still utilizing rejections as a leading indicator for spot rate changes. So great to use to monitor any shipments you have to identify new markets for spot opportunities, and it's still going to be updated daily as of yesterday. If you look at the SONAR truckload rejections to our legacy OTRI here in purple, you can see still following those same trends. It does look like rejections spiked up a little bit higher on the SONAR truckload rejections compared to legacy, probably just because it is an enhancement of the data set. They are still following the same trend. So that holiday spike, and then we're coming off of the holiday time. So seeing how these rejections land as we go into Q1, obviously weather is going to, be a factor with how rejections are moving, but still going to be able to monitor these on a daily basis to get ahead of those capacity and rate changes. Now, the next two data sets I'm going to talk about, you maybe don't hear us mention as much. So starting off with the SONAR truckload market share. So I'm going to view this on a heat map, which is looking at all 135 markets and measuring the market share. So those in green are going to have an increase, and those in red are a decrease in market share. So market share is just telling you what markets have the most impact on truck volumes. I always like to explain this. If you think of all 135 markets within the US equaling 100%, market share is how much each market is making up of that 100%. So the larger the market share, the more significant impact it's going to have when that market has increases and decreases in volume or rejections. So really, it's measuring how much impact this specific market has on the overall market. So great to monitor markets that you're already operating in to see if they are growing or losing market share, to know how that could affect your overall volume and capacity. Also great to monitor for growing markets. If you're looking for new markets to target for additional opportunities, you probably want those that have greater market share because they have more volume coming out of that market and more potential opportunity for you to capture. Whereas those really small markets are going to be really niche and not as much opportunity for you to expand into. Within the heat map, you can filter this by the value or the change or percent change. So if you wanted to filter this to, the smallest market share, you could look at it that way. Or if you want to see the largest, you can do that here and see, okay, Atlanta is the largest currently. Behind that is going to be Harrisburg. They're both increasing. Looks like Ontario is dropping a little bit in the last day. Then we're going to have, lastly, is our tender lead time. So this is measuring the shipper sentiment on the market. So as we all know, you tender load a certain number of days in advance. So this is measuring that. It is measuring number of days that shipments are being tendered. And I have this for all the markets again, so you can monitor which markets have the most significant tender lead time to the lowest. But as I said, this is measuring the shipper sentiment on the overall market. So if there is a significant increase or a large tender lead time, the shipper is anticipating capacity issues. So they're trying to tender that shipment further in advance so that their carrier can plan accordingly. Whereas if you see the tender lead time significantly decreasing, they're not worried about getting the shipment covered. They know that they could probably get a truck same day if they needed to. So they're not worried about tendering that far in advance. So again, similar when you're looking at market share, if you are seeing those markets that have an increase in market share with the tender lead time, if shippers are increasing that tender lead time, they are worried about capacity in that market and they may be looking for a new provider. So if you want to filter this by the largest tender lead time, which I think is how I had it, Amarillo, Billings, some of these are probably not the most desirable markets, hence why they're being tendered further in advance. But some of these larger ones that there's a good amount of volume there, there's a significant tender lead time increase, looking for that for some additional opportunity. Whereas the ones that are lower, as I said, shippers are not worried about getting probably same day. They're not going to be paying a ton of money on that load. They know they have about 20 carriers that'll move it if you want. So All of these are great to monitor together. You really want to get the full picture when you're looking at a market. So you want to know how volume's moving. Okay, how's capacity matching that? And then, overall market share, tender lead time. You're really getting all a piece of the puzzle with these new data sets. And it's the expansion of that tender data that we already know and love. But we really recommend looking at all pieces of the puzzle together to get the full picture. Now, these new data sets are available within your SONAR login. If you pull up any custom pages or the chart, you can view these data sets there. If you have any questions or if you want to talk through these further, you can reach out to us at cs@gosonar.com or your account manager. We'd be happy to discuss this with you further. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of WithSONAR. If you have any requests for what you would like to see on future episodes, please leave it in the comments below. And I hope you'll come and hang out with me next time. Have a great week.